Hey, what's up guys? It is Rob and I am back with another Horror Madness movie review. As I stated, for the month of October, I'm going to be talking about one horror film each day. And today, we are going to tackle the 1980 American slasher Friday the 13th. If you haven't seen my other two reviews, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and A Nightmare on Elm Street, definitely check them out. This is day 3 of October, and we're going to be talking about another classic. And in my opinion, this is the slasher that changed everything. Because, I mean, before this you had Psycho, you had Halloween, you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which were different in their own ways, but this one is completely different because this had the creative kill aspect, meaning that the killer used creative ways to kill people, and that's what the Friday the 13th series has become. You know, how many ways can Jason kill people? That's what people want to see. Even though Jason is not the killer in this movie. But you have Sean Cunningham, who produced and directed this film, who also worked with Wes Craven on The Last House on the Left, which I do like. But Sean Cunningham wanted to make a movie that was shocking, visually stunning, on the edge of your seat, basically jump out of your seat, scary, and he wanted to distance himself from The Last House on the Left. He wanted to make more of a roller coaster ride with this film. This had a title called A Long Night at Camp Blood. That was the original screenplay title. A Long Night at Camp Blood. But when Cunningham thought of the title Friday the 13th, he began to advertise this. And I believe it was Variety magazine or something like that. I think it was Variety magazine. He, you know, he seemed very confident on what he had going at the time. I think it was 1979 when he was trying to sell the film in Variety. But this movie is fantastic. It started it all with the Friday the 13th series. The film tells a story of a group of teenagers who are murdered one by an unknown killer while attempting to reopen an abandoned summer camp. It stars Betsy Palmer, you know, as Mrs. Voorhees, or Pamela Voorhees, who was fantastic. You got Adrienne King as Alice Hardy, who is the main female of the kids. Harry Crosby III as Bill. Janine Taylor as Marcy Cunningham. Laurie Bartram as Brenda. Kevin Bacon as Jack, who has my favorite death scene in the whole movie. Mark Nelson as Ned. Robbie Morgan as Annie. Peter Brower as Steve Christie, who is attempting to reopen the camp. You got Walt Gorney as Crazy Ralph. It's got a death curse. Ari Lehman as Jason. We get to see him at the end of the movie. I love this cover, the silhouette of a killer. Fantastic. But it's a very simple story. It had a budget of $550,000, and at the box office it made $59.8 million. So it was a success. The movie was released in May 1980, and the critical response to the film was divided, with some praising the cinematography, the score, the performances, and others decided it was too graphic. I really don't get it. I mean, the creative kill things were I mean, the death scenes, you know, I guess you could say they're violent. But I don't think, I mean, maybe at the time, you know, people thought that. Basically, in the summer of 1958, at Camp Crystal Lake, two counselors sneak away from this campfire, Barry and Claudette. They sneak away to have sex in a storage barn, basically like upstairs. And this, you know, the camera is in like a first-person view, right? And it's going up the stairs, and all of a sudden Barry's like, oh, we weren't doing anything. Well, it's clear you were, Barry. You were on top of her, you know. You were tickling her with your pickle, let's be honest. So he gets stabbed, and the killer pretty much murders both of them. And that's how the movie is all the way into the third act. The movie is very mysterious or I should say the killer is very mysterious, because they don't let up on who it is. And you pretty much think it's a guy the whole time, because a lot of the times you'll see like the hands, or like the, you know, the arms, or the feet, and like you automatically think it's a guy. But then we go to 21 years later. You know, it shows the newly hired camp counselor Annie. She asks for directions to the Camp Crystal Lake. You know, she gets a ride. You know, after what's his name, Enos drops her off, she hitches another ride from an unseen person who chases her into the woods and slashes her throat. Then it goes to the camp, where you have Ned, Jack, Bill, Marcy, Brenda, and Alice, along with Steve Christie, who is in charge of refurbishing the cabins and the facilities. All this is going on, you kind of have chemistry between the characters. I do like the characters. They don't really go in depth with all of them, but I do, you know, I think the characters are well known, so to say. But as the night goes on, you start to figure out, like, okay, somebody is killing people, and who is it? That's what you're thinking to yourself. Like if you've never seen this movie before, obviously it's spoiled if you've seen it, but like the first time I saw this movie, I'm like, okay, who is it? It's got to be somebody that is maybe part of the camp, or it's got to be somebody like that who's part of it. So these kids start dying one by one, different ways. You know, spear through the throat, axe to the face, just, you know, arrows. There's just so many ways that they die. And Jack being pierced through the throat with an arrow beneath the bed is my favorite kill with Kevin Bacon. I loved it. The axe to the face is great, and some of the other ones are great too. But that's definitely my favorite one. So as the movie goes on, you know, people start dying, and then you get to my favorite part of the movie, which is the third act, where all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a middle-aged woman named Mrs. Voorhees, or Pamela, she shows up after all this stuff is going on. And Alice is the only one left. And she says she's an old friend of the Christies. Yeah. You're a real old friend. You get the backstory of Jason. You hear a little bit about a boy drowning in the beginning when Annie's on the ride to the camp. You hear a little bit about it, but Mrs. Voorhees, she tells it, you know, you could tell she's really upset and she's emotional about it. And, you know, she talks about how her son drowned while the counselors were making love. They weren't even paying attention. They were making love while my young boy drowned. His name was Jason. I mean, it's a fantastic story. It makes the hairs on my arm raise up. It really does. Because she tells it with such conviction. I love it. And you think that Mrs. Voorhees is this sweet lady who just misses her son and you know, she just snaps all of a sudden. All of a sudden she just turns and she starts going psycho. She's like, look what you did to him. And she just starts, you know, leaping at Alice and trying to kill her, and she's slapping her and hitting her, and Alice is trying to throw stuff at her, and she just keeps coming. It's like, you know, it's like shooting a BB gun at a freight train. She just keeps coming and coming at her. I mean, she is one tough broad, I tell you. Mrs. Voorhees is psycho. She's a psychopath. But Betsy Palmer, oh my God, she did such a great job. She killed all those people. She killed all those counselors. I mean, God, she's crazy. And there are some creepy scenes, like the part where Alice goes into the cabin and she's hiding in that pantry. And the pantry door has, like, cracks in it, right? And when the light comes on, you can see the light shining through the cracks. Well, she's hiding in that pantry. All of a sudden, like, the light turns on and Mrs. Voorhees is in there looking for her. She's like walking around, and then like you know, all of a sudden then she like breaks through the door. It's just a fantastic scene. And Alice, you know, throughout the film, like, people say that Alice is boring. I totally disagree. I mean, I love Amy Steele. I think she's great. But I have a thing for Adrienne King. Like, I think as Alice, she wasn't boring at all. She was a very, like, conservative character. She didn't really, you know, she was kind of quiet and stuff, but that's the point. Like, she really changed during the third act. Like, you could really see that she could survive and that she could actually take care of herself. And the tides turn. So I think she was a very strong-willed character. I mean, it kind of sucks. You know, I understand she had that stalker incident for part 2. Like, she didn't want to, you know, have a main part in it. But it still sucks. I rather, you know, I still would have liked to have her. I mean, you know, I'm glad we got Amy Steele, but I don't agree at all that Alice was boring. I definitely don't agree with that. I mean, look what she accomplished, okay? Third act, she chops Mrs. Voorhees' head off with the machete. Alice started it all. She killed Mrs. Voorhees. She killed Jason's mother. And Jason, of course, got his revenge in the second movie, but look what she accomplished. You know, Mrs. Voorhees killed all those people, and Alice is the one who stopped her. I mean, you got to give her credit for that. The chopping off of the head is definitely a famous scene, which is what they kind of recreated in Halloween H2O, which is what I loved when Jamie Lee Curtis cuts off Michael's head. It's an awesome way to end a film and to put down a villain. It's definitely an awesome way. But she basically cuts off her head, and you know, she's pretty much traumatized. She gets inside a canoe and she floats out on Crystal Lake. Really cool scene that Ari Lehman had. He as Jason, young Jason. You know, Alice awakens and she sees the police arriving, and it's a really cool scene. It's kind of creepy. All of a sudden, this young boy pops up out of the water, kind of disfigured a little bit and dirty, and he comes up from the lake and he grabs her. He grabs Alice and pulls her underwater. I will never forget that scene. That is a fantastic scene. And then she awakens in a hospital, and the police officer are trying to talk to her, and she asks where the boy was, and the guy's like, "Man, we didn't find any boy." "Then he's still there?" I love that line. It gives me the creeps. And then they show the lake. Like, it's just, oh my God. Look at the hairs on my arm. Look at this. Look at the goosebumps. See the goosebumps I have? This movie did that so well. I mean, the whole third act just ramps it up. When it talks about the story of Jason and the mother, she's traumatized as well. Pamela Voorhees was traumatized about what happened to her kid. And, a lot of people find justice in what she did. And you can understand why she did it. You can understand because she's so fed up with the youth and society and the fact that they're not doing their jobs and not paying attention to people. And her kid drowned because they weren't doing their job. They were not paying attention. They didn't care. And so why would she care? It's just one of those things. This movie is fantastic. I'm telling you right now. I love it. Even though my favorite Friday the 13th is part 3, I will always love this movie. And that's the thing. You don't even find out it's a woman killer until the third act. You don't even find out who it is until the third act. Through the whole movie, it's a killer that you never see. And of course, it's ruined the second time you watch it. But still, that was a great way to execute it. It was awesome. But yeah, that's what Sean Cunningham wanted. He wanted something that was different. I mean, he was inspired by Halloween. But the music was awesome in this film. I love the music by Harry Manfredini. It's one of those... I think his music, it's very intense. It's kind of got like a, like Psycho was like, ring, 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 ring. This kind of has like a thing like that, but it's kind of deeper. It's kind of a deeper tone, but it's still, it's still like on the edge of your seat. That's what it feels like. This movie was shot around Hardwick. It's like, I think it was Hope, New Jersey. In 1979. The camp scenes were shot on a Boy Scout camp. Camp Nobi Bosco or something like that, which is located in New Jersey. And from what I understand, the camp is still standing and it operates as a summer camp, actually. I'd like to visit there. But the cinematography, with the point of view shots from the perspective of the villain, was brilliant. It was brilliant. I loved it. It was just great. This movie, if I had to rate this, I gave Texas Chainsaw Massacre a 10. I gave A Nightmare on Elm Street a 9. I would also have to give this a solid 9 out of 10. It's just fantastic. It really is. When it comes to the Friday the 13th series, there's not even one movie I hate. I love all of them. Even though if I were to do a best to worst, just because it's the worst doesn't mean it's just last on the list. I actually don't hate any of the Friday the 13th movies. I don't hate Jason Goes to Hell. I don't hate Jason X, and I certainly don't hate Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. So, but anyway, guys, that's my review for Friday the 13th. This is day 3 of the October Horror Madness reviews. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And I'll be back for day 4.